I love the fact that so many of you watched this video recently through to the end to get the indication of what you need to do to request the video of your choice here on YouTube. Now, if you're one of those people that has no patience and expects me to say everything in 30 seconds, it's not going to happen. This is not TikTok, it's YouTube. So if you're wondering what today's video is going to be all about, it's going to be all about how to start a business on a low income, how to start a business on universal credit, how to start a business even if you're on LCWRA or ESA. I'm going to take you through the overalls and then I'm going to go into a little bit of a step-by-step. And if you stay to the end, you're going to get access to a super little resource that is going to help you get started if that is what you want to do. So let's get into it. Okay, so first of all, if you've decided I want to try going self-employed instead of looking for a job because I want to just do that, and a lot of people with health conditions or disabilities also prefer to go self-employed because that means they can work at home, they can work online at home, they can manage their health conditions better, they can arrange their whole week around what works for them with family and other things too. Now, anyone but anybody can start a business on universal credit. If you're on a low income and you also have like a job or a part-time job, of course, you can do that too. Now, there are differences between the income, the financial elements, whether or not you are working and starting a business, and whether or not you are on universal credit or a means tested benefit and starting a business. So where I can, I am going to kind of separate the differences bit by bit. And again, if you have any questions, put them in the comments because there's probably going to be things I'm going to forget that you might want to know about. So just put it in there and I'll do a video on it. Okay, in the UK, if you are going to be starting a business and you are on a means tested benefit, i.e. some of the ones I've just stated, you will automatically be put into what is called a work group because of the benefit that you're on. Those work groups are actually managed in law by something which is called the labour regime. Every single work group has a different labour regime attached to it, and that therefore dictates what certain entities like DWP say you can and you can't do within that work group and your work-related activity. This is very important so you understand what is going to come in this video. So I hope that's very clear. So if you're working already a part-time job, full-time job, and you're claiming no means tested benefits whatsoever, you're not obviously going to have any work group because you only get the work groups if you're on a benefit. If you're on universal credit and you're not on something like LCWRA and you're not on ESA, and you are having to actively look for work, and you will know if that's the case because you'll be having to go to appointments every week and every other week, and you're going to have to be actively evidencing your work search, you will be in what is called the intensive work group. People in the intensive work group can also start a business whilst they're on universal credit, and I'm going to explain in a moment how that works. Now, if you are currently, this is before they make all the changes, this is current. If you're currently in the LCWRA, if you'll get an LCWRA, you're obviously going to be getting universal credit as well, which is a means tested benefit. But if you're getting paid LCWRA on top of your universal credit, which is about 420 odd quid a month, you will automatically be put into the no work related requirements group. And I've just realized I've got a typo there. So that means that you don't have to look for work and you don't have to evidence work, but you can still be self-employed. You can still start a business. As long as, so this is for LCWRA, as long as you don't go into these elements, which I'm going to tell you next. The first element is that you do not work in your business more than 16 hours a week. That's everything. That's doing your marketing, that's doing your accounts, that's doing your admin, that's doing whatever product or service you're going to be selling, everything, the full shebang. Now, I know I'm going to have someone in the comments make this comment, so I'm going to address it right now, okay? If somebody says, if you're not well enough to work, which is why you'll get an LCWRA, why would you start a business? And the simple reason for that is because most people in a normal traditional workplace are unable to work because so many workplaces and so many employments are just not suited, unbelievably, to disabled people, and lots of workplaces cannot adapt or will not adapt, even though they should do, to people with disabilities or long-term health conditions. And for lots of people who feel stuck on a benefit because of their health conditions, they want to try doing something else. They want to see if it's possible to create a business where they can earn money, maybe more than if they were earning, working somewhere like a traditional 9 to 5. And also they want something to occupy their days more than just not working, okay, or not doing whatever it is they used to do before. And I am a firm believer, because I have been on both sides myself, and I have been, as we all know, I've had lots of battles either with my physical health, or still do with my physical health. And at one point I was very, very seriously depressed. And when you are quite depressed, or you have lots of health conditions that are just not going to get any better, having something to occupy yourself is, number one, very good for you mentally, but secondly, it keeps you in a process of learning and upskilling. And the UK in particular is quite far behind when it comes to skills, because the government have cut back so much on schools, on colleges and everything else. So, that's a whole nother video. But, there is lots to be learned. Lots can be learned online. Lots can be learned from your home. You don't even have to go out. In fact, one of my degrees I did totally online with the Open University. So there we go. People on LCWRA can work in their own business and start a business if they want to. That's the point I'm making. Now, ESA works very differently to everything else, and particularly ESA is also in migration currently to universal credit. So currently, ESA doesn't technically have work groups like universal credit and LCWRA. They have instead either a support group, so you're either put into the ESA support group or you're put into the ESA RAG group. Sounds horrible, I know, but work related activity group. Although that group, the RAG group, doesn't apply to the new claims. So if you've been migrated from ESA to universal credit, you're probably not going to be put into the RAG group. You're probably going to be put into either the no work related requirement group, so same as LCWRA, or another one, potentially work focused work group. The difference between the two is if you're in the support group, you don't have to look for work. And if you're in the RAG group, you do. Now, if you want to start a business on ESA and you're in the support group, you actually have to get permission. You have to get something called a work permit. I know, it's horrible, but you do. And again, as long as you don't go over the set amount, and the maximum, I do believe, subject to change if it's been updated, is 16 hours. But they might say you can only work 9 hours or 12 hours or 15 hours. And again, if you're self-employed, because when you declare your income and your expenses every month when you're on universal credit, and if you're getting ESA, you're most likely to be on universal credit as well. Now, they don't even ask for your hours. They just ask about income and expenditure. So it's a little bit outdated. The kind of systems are kind of a little bit unaligned technically at the moment. Right, there is also one extra work group that I'm going to talk about because it is quite relevant to some people, and it's the last one there that I've just added. It's called the work focused work group. So you may be put into that if your child isn't yet 3 years old, for example, your youngest child isn't yet 3 years old, you may be put into that if you have recently come out of prison, or you've recently come out of care, or you've recently you're just about to finish maternity leave or something like that. Now, people who are also in this work group on universal credit can, if they want to, also start a business if they want to. So the difference here is that in the work focused work group, people don't have to look for work. So they don't have to if they don't want to start a business, but they might want to because they might want to potentially see if they can increase their income over and above what they're currently getting. When people are on universal credit and they're in the intensive work group, they have to look for work, and they can also start a business if they want to, with a specific caveat. So I'm going to go straight to that. So how do you start a business then if you are on universal credit? What do you do? Well, the first thing you're going to have to do is, number one, decide that you actually want to do that. Now, universal credit and the job centre do not give out any advice about starting a business. They are there literally to administer the claim. And I say this with truthful honesty, but also caution. The majority of the people that you're going to have to deal with when it comes to saying that you want to start a business and actually going through that process with universal credit have never ever had a business in their life. So they do not know anything about it. They don't know how it works. They don't really know how it works with HMRC. They don't know about any type of business structure potentially. All they know is how to administer self-employment on your claim in regards to the labour groups and the policies. So if you're looking for advice on what is the best business to start for you and support and advice around that, you're just not going to get it from the job centre or universal credit. So just know that. And in actual fact, if you do want more advice on that, please go and follow my other YouTube channel, because I'm always going on. That is purely everything to do with business and marketing, because that is what I do. And that's what I love to kind of share information about, and other people's businesses, etc., etc. So all you have to do, quite simply, when you've decided, yeah, I want to start a business, is you go to your universal credit account, you go to the point where it says change of circumstances. So you log into your universal credit account online, you go to change of circumstances, and you make a change of circumstances from unemployed, which for most of you, you're going to be unemployed because you're on universal credit, to self-employed. You can also do this if you are currently employed. You can also put making a change of circumstances from employed and self-employed. It gives you the option to do both, unless they've changed it recently, which I don't think they have. Now, what that does on the universal credit system is it automatically triggers a process, which is called the gateway process. Now, part of that gateway process is to invite you in to an appointment. Now, this appointment, number one, is mandatory. And number two, it is an assessment. I think really, to be fair, they should rename it the Gateway Assessment, because that is what it is. Most people think they're just going in to chat about their business and, that's it. That isn't it. It's an assessment. And you will get a message through your journal, and it will say you have been invited into a gateway appointment, and there'll be a tiny little blue hyperlink in your journal, which is a letter. Click on that and it will open up the doomsday book. No, it will open up all of these things you need to bring in. Potentially registration with HMRC if you have one, a different bank account, details, not the same one as you've got. Now, on the bank account details, I'm just going to say this. When I used to do this job, and because I used to have to assess in these appointments, this is something I was a specialist in, and I trained lots of work coaches and team leaders in how to do this properly, particularly with people with disabilities. You may want to just ask yourself why I had to retrain them to do it properly, but I'm not saying anyone wasn't doing their job properly. I'm just saying that's what I was asked to do after looking at various claims. So in the gateway process, when it comes to your bank account, all I used to do is, can you just show me your bank account, please, a separate bank account. I would simply be checking to see that that is your name, that is at your address, and that there is some transactions going in and out. Never to look at the whole bank statement, never to question, just to see that there is a genuine account there and there is some movement. That's it. Because when we're assessing, or when they're assessing for business, it's completely different to when you're just on universal credit. Now, I say that with caveat because I know the absolute storm that is going on with bank statements. And as we all know, I don't even believe that that is lawful. I've made my point very clear about that here on YouTube. There are various letters if you want to follow that up. And if you really feel that you need a little bit more support in that, then just join the membership. We do monthly coaching and all sorts of other things as well. But that is not the purpose of this video. So you go along then to the gateway appointment. It is a 1 hour appointment. It will be you and it will be a work coach that potentially only deals with self-employed customers. They might have changed that. They're always changing it. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. They're mixing it up. And they will want to ask you questions. Now, the point of this assessment is to determine whether or not you are going to be found gainfully or non-gainfully self-employed. This is critical in everything you do, not only in your business, but also for universal credit. If you are found non-gainfully self-employed, and if you're on LCWRA or you're in a work group that is not intensive work group, so if you're on the LCWRA work group or the work focused or the work related activity or an ESA support group, it is highly likely that you are going to be automatically found non-gainfully self-employed. The reason for that is it is a safeguarding and a protection measure because you obviously have limitations to what you can do. This is a good thing because you will not have the minimum income floor applied to your claim at any point in time. And I will do another video on what that basically is and how it's implemented. But that is the horrible term that is used where the government have said, we've decided you need £1,800 a month, for example, to live on. If you're self-employed and you're on universal credit and you're not earning that after 1 year, we're going to apply that to your universal credit account as if you were, which is when people find themselves with a zero payout on universal credit. So, and for some people, because they have maybe perhaps started a business not in the best way, they haven't taken any training, any coaching, any mentoring, or they might just be doing it because they don't want to work. Unfortunately, there are people like that. Or maybe it's just they're just not doing very well in their business. They might find themselves in a year's time in that situation. However, if you are found non-gainfully self-employed, the minimum income floor cannot be applied. Fact. If you are in the intensive work group and you are on universal credit, you can be found gainfully self-employed. Now, a few years ago, everybody wanted to be found gainfully self-employed because there was also an additional grant that you could get, which would pay you like £45 plus every single week on top of all the other things that you're getting to help you in your self-employment. That no longer exists. But if you are found gainfully self-employed, you are also allowed a startup period. Now, this is a post-COVID measure. So it was brought in just in COVID, because I used to work for the job centre and universal credit then. And it was there basically to help the economy get going, help people get back into their businesses and self-employment and all the rest of it. And currently, I do believe it still applies. So what that means is if you are on universal credit, you have been found gainfully self-employed, you will be given a startup period, which means you're left alone for an entire 12 months. You're not going to be called into the job centre to look for work. You're not going to be made to look for work. And you can start and try and grow your business in 12 months. You will have to go in for 2 or 4. It differs slightly with job centres. Like self-employment reviews where they just basically call you in. It's like 15-minute review. Sometimes they just call you and go, hi, how is everything? How is it going? Yeah, everything's going fine. And then that person can see the income you're declaring and your expenses, the business expenses you're declaring. So they might say, well, this person's, we can see a profit, so it's going fine. If they can see every single month you're in the red, they're probably going to want to ask a few questions about that. Is self-employment the right choice for you? Because let's face it, if you're not making any money from your self-employment, they're going to probably say to you, wouldn't it be better for you just to try and get a job? Because otherwise you're going to end up with debt. So that's how that works. Now, you can only be given a startup period once every 3 years, and you can only be given a startup period for one business type. So let's just say you have a business, you call yourself Joe the Roof Thatcher, and you do this startup period, you're in the intensive work group, you're left alone for a year, and it's not going very well. And they slam you with the minimum income floor, which is what they will do. And you're not earning enough money. Lots of people will go, I know, I'll close that business and I'll start up another one. And this time I'm going to call myself Ronnie Pickles, the Thatcher, the Roof Thatcher. That is the same business type. So the same business type, you won't get another startup period again. You'd have to wait a whole full 3 years, or you'd have to try doing something completely differently. Now, trust me well, when people try playing the system on this level, there is going to be extreme eyes looking at everything you do if you do that. So it's going to be very obvious anyway if you are spinning a yarn. I'm just going to say that because I think some people think work coaches and people that work there are stupid. They're not. Some, I must admit, aren't perhaps, the nicest people. And I know some of the times we definitely don't agree with what they do with the bank statements, and I get it. But don't make the assumption that everybody is stupid, because they're not, okay? And people can see, particularly at DWP, an awful lot of information about you. So just remember that when you are declaring what you're declaring, right? That's all I'm going to say there. So from that point onwards, it's so easy. All you're going to get is a little text on your phone or in your journal every single month going, hi, Ronnie Pickles, can you declare your income and your expenses? And you simply log on, you declare how much money you've earned, and you declare your expenses. That's it. It is quite simple. There's not really an awful lot more to it. Now, if you're thinking, I would like to do this, I would like to start a business, and I don't know really where to start, as obviously this is something that I specialise in, I am going to leave a link down below. But I don't really specialise in anything that is not an online business, because otherwise things where you're having to buy stock and rent premises and do all of this sort of thing is very, very expensive, particularly in the UK, and there is a lot of risk to it. So I always try and encourage people to start a business. Try and start a business where there is the least amount of cost and the least amount of risk to you. Unless you're a seasoned hand, right? Let's just say you've been a company director, or you've had lots and lots of previous experience at creating businesses or running a business, and it's not new to you, then obviously, no one's going to teach you how to suck eggs, right? That's completely different. But if you're totally new, you've never done it before, I would definitely say be careful of the business type that you go into, particularly today. And please don't do anything like buy these really bad spammy digital marketing courses. It's just pyramid selling. You're just going to end up broke and you're going to feel very defeated. So don't do that. Create a real business that is right for you, based around you. Now underneath the video, so if you're looking on a phone, you're going to have to really either close the video or make it smaller so you can see the description underneath the video. Underneath the video, there is a little L which is going to take you to this, which is a 17-page start a business checklist. It's actually something that my business clients first receive, so I thought I would let you have that for free, help you start mapping out a few things, etc., etc. So live your best life. That is it, guys. As you can see, it's not really that difficult. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll be more than happy to help you out. I think I've kind of explained the basics of it. But yeah, if you have any more questions, let me know and check out all the info down below. Have a great day.